We've only got another new tasty model to look at, and this time it's the Winged Tyranid Prime. Okay, I'm going to say straight away that this is one of those models that I feel like doesn't photograph well. I don't think this is a bad looking model. I think this is actually quite a good looking model, but when you look at this image, for me personally, it makes it feel like it's super weighted on one side. The silhouette is all over the shot. And having made some absolute freaks, some complete monstrosities myself in the past, I know what a confusing silhouette looks like, and I know how it can sometimes mess up the eye when you're trying to focus in on details. My initial thought when I saw this is that the one side of the model looks heavier than the other due to the positioning of the wings. The thing is though, I think the positioning of the wings was a good call. I genuinely think that they've done the right thing with having them down as opposed to raised up. When we look at this picture from the trailer that they've put in the article, it's like, that has a presence to it. That is extremely impressive. That looks scary and a little bit show-offy. The thing is, I think doing a pose similar to that would make the Prime too similar to the Winged Hive Tyrant. We effectively already have a Tyranid HQ with the wings outstretched pose. Now admittedly, the Hive Tyrant isn't standing, it's flying. It's being kind of supported by the tail on the base. But the thing is, if you had the Prime with that kind of standing wing open pose, on the tabletop, it might not be that easy to distinguish between the two at a glance. The poses would be relatively similar, and when you're looking at a tabletop full of models, it can be easy to kind of gloss over small details, or to kind of glance at something, register it, and then find out, oh no, actually, that was not what I thought it was. Providing extra distinction between the Prime and the Hive Tyrant by having the wings folded is genuinely a good idea. It also avoids the issues that come with having a model that has such a large footprint compared to the base. Like, when you look at how much space is taken up by that Hive Tyrant compared to how big the base is, it's crazy. There is so much space being taken up by that model. And it looks awesome, yeah, it looks great, but come at a certain point, it gets in the way. Now, I'm not suggesting that all models have to only be confined to like a cylinder that goes up from the base and nothing should go over the base at all. I mean, if that was the case, then, most of my conversions would no longer be playable, so I don't want to advocate for that sort of change. But at the same time, I've got a few dragons in my Soulblight Gravelord's army, I've got a winged creature in my Mega Gargant army, and frankly, wings get in the goddamn way all the time. Having something where the model itself is almost twice the width or more than the base it's on, it looks awesome. It's also a pain to actually play with. For those two reasons, this being a bit more reserved and having the wings down makes a lot of sense. More convenient to move around the battlefield, and you're not going to mistake it at a glance with another unit, which is what you want. That being said, it does make it harder to parse the model as a whole. It does make it trickier to kind of get a feel for what it really looks like. Because that wing that is out, right out in front, is blocking one of the legs, it kind of creates a weird asymmetry that makes it look like it's missing a bit, even though we know it isn't. Now, this one is helped a little bit by having a little bit of an alternate angle where you can sort of see a little bit better what's going on, but for my money, this angle is kind of worse than the one further up the page. There is kind of more obstruction going on here between the wing and that kind of claw arm. You are losing a good chunk of detail on half of the model, and you're not even getting a full view of the other wing because of the claw being in the way and due to the angle of it. It's just one of those ones, it's a Sanguinius. It's Sanguinius all over again, where you got to pick it up, turn it round to be able to properly see what's going on with it. It's its own worst enemy when it comes to being photographed because it obscures itself by default. All that being said though, there are some really nice details on here, and I do like it. I do like this model. I'm not 100% on the tongue, I would probably be inclined to snip that off, but that chitin sword that's sticking out the front of the crest on the head, that looks great. I really like the little details on that. The claws look, they're just A-grade Tyranid claws. They look fantastic. It's a great design with little changes from model to model. I really like them. The wings do look good, and with them folded, you're going to be able to do some really fun, like, shading tricks and stuff, and get some really nice highlights in, just like they've done on this one. You could get some real smooth blends going on them as well, which would look fantastic because of how concentrated you need to make it. Like with the Hive Tyrant, the fact that the wings are spread out, the colour is going to be a little bit more kind of reduced, but with them folded up, you've got a great excuse to like saturate them. The carapace with those like big funnels coming out the back looks fantastic. I do like the little kind of asymmetrical growth of it, it looks like. Kind of need to get it in hands or with the 360-degree view to see whether that kind of opening is on the other side of it or whether it's just on the one side. I'm kind of hoping that it is a bit more asymmetrical, to be honest. That armour running down the chest as well, those kind of plates that are in the middle of the rib cage, those look really good. They're like slightly different from the Hive Tyrant from what I can tell. I really like the little changes they do between like one unit and the next. They're all cohesive, they all look like Tyranids, but there's just little things that change from one to the other. This has got enough that it feels properly different to a Hive Tyrant, which is nice. It's also super interesting to see that the wings are in a different position as well. Like on the Hive Tyrant, the wings are up top and the weapon arms are below. For the Prime, the setup is really weird comparatively because the wings are the ones that are taking up that lower socket with the weapon arms being straight out of the shoulders. It kind of makes it a bit more creepy, like anatomically it looks a bit weird. And funnily enough, I'm all for that, as I'm sure you're already aware. Overall, I do really like this model, but I definitely feel like it's going to benefit from being able to view it from every angle. I mean, look at the head. The head on this picture looks so much cooler than it does in the previous one, just because you're able to see a bit more of that kind of, that crest. You also get a better feel for how heavily armoured the legs are as well. I genuinely can't wait to be able to actually see the back of it, and to be able to compare the wings properly, where you'll be able to just switch from one wing to the other and see what's different and what's the same when it comes to the folding pattern on them. Definitely a good looking Tyranid. Really can't wait to see more. The question is, what do you think of this new winged lad? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like, don't click if you don't want to. As always, there's an affiliate link for Element Games in the description, which you can use if you would like. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.